Hey everybody, it's Doug Green and I'm the publisher of Technology Reseller News. And I'm very pleased to have with me today Dave Danto and Dave Michaels of TalkingPointz. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me today.
Our pleasure.
So we're here on opening day of Enterprise Connect, and both you guys are going to be speaking. But before you dive into that, Dave, what is TalkingPointz?
I think he's referring to, he said Dave, so that's me, right?
It's you.
Yep,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So TalkingPointz is probably the leading, most influential independent research and advisory and general source of wisdom and knowledge of enterprise communications.
And you're at Enterprise Connect. So basically TalkingPointz is a place where enterprises can go to learn about things that are happening, about products and ideas and so on.
If we don't cover it, it's not important.
Good. All right. And in that vein, you guys are actually speaking here at the conference. Is that right?
Right now, we're speaking to you.
Well, I know, and now, David, you came by. I think you were just fresh from a session and you were
Yeah,
speaking.
we just did a workshop this morning about the future of security, the future of meeting rooms. It's an interesting format.
Security is going to be important in the future, right?
It is, yeah, now. It's actually something that Eric started last year. We did this year, where we present and speak to other people about some topics that are very important, but it's more of a workshop. We sit down at tables and talk with the other attendees about what's going on and make it more interactive. I covered the future of the meeting rooms, which I think was important because when you think about meeting rooms in the 5 years ago, 10 years ago, it'd be what size screen, how many chairs, what's going on with your speakers. And now we're talking about the network, and we're talking about security, and we're talking about, are we using a category cable to connect all the peripherals? And it's a completely different conversation. And we got into what we should be prepared for in the future. Things like getting rid of the rectangular screen in the front of the room. Now with DV-LED, the display can be any size. It can be around the whole room, up the ceiling, down the floor, that we don't need specific cameras or specific microphones because AI can do a lot of the work stitching. So it was an interesting conversation.
And last month we were at another show at
ISE
in Barcelona, and meeting rooms there's a lot of excitement going on. I'm still waiting for the in-meeting pedicure, but no one's come up with that one yet.
Now, I don't want to see that many bare feet in my meeting.
That's interesting. Now, what was the reaction? What did you have time in the session to actually get a little feedback from audience?
Yeah, we had some questions in real time during the presentation, and we had some questions afterwards in the workshop about, one of my pet peeves, and I've written about this continuous times, we came up with this idea of meeting equity that needs to take place between the people that are remote and the people that are in the office, and it became a very big deal during the pandemic. And the manufacturers generally solved it by saying, oh, we're putting cameras on the table, which doesn't really address meeting equity. It makes better shots, but how do you get the people on the far end to whiteboard when there's a whiteboard in the room? And we haven't really tackled those hard problems.
Some participants have more equity than others.
Right. So that was what the subject is there. And then we just dabbled on for a little bit, but it's really going to be in my session on Thursday, what the nature and status of interoperability is. Now that we have 4 major platforms for video conferencing and a few other minor ones as well, how do they communicate? How are they handling native interoperability? What are the third parties doing? And what is this whole issue of sovereign data that France started that the rest of Europe may be going through? How's that going to affect the interoperability world? So, the joke that I've made for years, and I'm still naked, is, in 50 years from now, we'll have robot surgeons doing our medical advice. We'll all be riding around in automated cars, and we'll still be arguing about video interoperability.
You've got to get some new material there.
Yeah, that's true. But you have the new material. You're talking on a couple of sessions tomorrow, right?
It's interesting because this Enterprise Connect, used to be called VoiceCon, is a voice show, and it's morphed into video meetings, and of course contact center. I've got a couple panels on contact center. One of them is Honey, I Blew Up the Contact Center, and the idea is that the old model of the contact center was we need a bigger contact center, a big full stack machine. The model now is everything's integrated, and the full stack concept is a little long in the tooth. And so that's one session that's coming up. I've got another session on re-examining what a carrier is. Carriers have kind of become a dated term. We think of it as maybe pipes, But it used to be the whole industry, right? It used to be where our dial tone came from.
Yeah, and there's Sprint, right? Sprint's one and MCI.
Yeah. But now, you deal with all these CCAS providers, UCAS providers. Are they carriers? Are they providers? What are they? When do you use a carrier? And where do you get your phone numbers from? And now with the mobility story, which is a theme here as well, we're seeing, you can have a numbering plan that spans across all your cell numbers, all your enterprise numbers. So I think that's the voice stuff and the carrier side. I'm really appreciative. One of the things with the change to this format was one of the favorite session at the old Enterprise Connect was the lock note session, and they weren't going to do it this year. And I complained because it's my favorite session, and they decided to add it. I'm sure it wasn't nothing to do with my complaint, but it's only a half hour. Only a half hour, so I'm gonna have to be elbowing through the other participants on that because I got a lot to say.
Yeah, that's one of the things this year. The show is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and all the sessions are half hour. So trying to get your thoughts in quickly. Absolutely,
Speed dating.
And they do have speed dating sessions.
Yeah,
all fun.
Yeah.
What else are you working at Enterprise Connect this year?
Well, there's just the industry is in this complete reinvention. Everything is changing with AI. And I think there's a lot of question about where the value belongs and should be. Everyone is trying to say they've got the value, but the enterprise customer is like, do I want my CCAS provider to do that? Or do I want my data lake provider to do that? Or do I want that to be on-prem? How do I secure that? And so I think one of the challenges that we're really seeing with this AI stuff is everyone is saying the same thing. And it takes more than the 30-minute conversation to figure out what the differences are. I mean, they're all saying, and then the magic word this year, waiting for a duck to come down, is orchestrate. And no one really knows what orchestrate means. No one has a clear definition. I
thought it was the orchestration layer.
Well, whatever. Everything is orchestrated. And last year was agentic. You were really on that.
Yeah.
This year it's orchestrate. Okay. And so we have to orchestrate our agents. Actually.
I'll look for the orchestrate T-shirts, like I got the agentic T-shirt last year.
Yeah.
And because they're only 30-minute sessions, we need more acronyms. We don't have enough acronyms. We have to be dealing with MSOs and UCAS and CCAS and CPAS. We need more short acronyms. That way the sessions can be shorter.
Yeah. What are you seeing here, Doug? What do you thought? You've been doing these interviews all day. You hearing recurring themes?
Well, we just started doing some interviews today, but what I'll say is this: over the course of this quarter, one very interesting thing that I'm hearing more about on AI is a lot of people are saying, actually applying AI, or my customers are applying AI in the way it probably should be applied, which is we're not going to fire people. We're going to actually be able to get them to be able to do higher functioning things.
You are so delusional. No, if you can't fire someone, it ain't worth it. I mean, I anticipate, my prediction is this event in 5 years will have only virtual attendees. Walking around, they'll all be going around all the different sessions. No, humans are bad things. We got to get rid of.
I'll be able to get a little bit more sleep. That'll be nice.
Yeah. That's the future. We'll get basic income, sleep all day.
I want to see all the robots that are our avatars gambling at the tables. That'll be interesting.
Yeah. Will the virtual income sleep all day? Will I be able to watch my virtual HBO and watch my virtual shows?
There won't be anything to watch, but yes, it'll be all AI slop. No, that the AI thing is really big. I mean, there's no question about it. I mean, we could joke about it, but we are seeing, without doubt. I mean, there's been a lot of debate about this for a while, but I think we are past the debate. We are seeing that companies are able to grow revenue without growing headcount.
Right.
And that's really the first time in human history that we've seen that. And so there's a lot of impacts and consequences associated with that. A lot of it's good, and a lot of it's going to be questionable. Turbulent, though.
That's one of the things that Dave and I have talked about where we slightly disagree, where I think a lot of the AI, while good and valuable, has got a lot of funny money involved in it. Where, I'm taking an IOU from this company and using it to invest in that company, or I'm taking the stocks from company A and buying company B with it. And I'm afraid, that one butterfly flaps its wings the wrong way, and the entire musical chairs could collapse. So I'm a little concerned.
Any day now.
Yeah,
Any day
any
now.
day now.
Yeah, well, I see. This is what he was saying, but disagree. The AI is here to stay, and there seems to be infinite demand for good AI, and so the only people that can afford to pay for the data centers are the chip companies. So there's a little bit of the circular logic because it has to be, but there's going to be bottlenecks, and we're seeing that now. And how do we power these things? How do we build these things out? So there's going to be various bottlenecks. But the basic AI, I mean, NVIDIA just announced their numbers, right? And those are real numbers. That was real revenue. I mean, this isn't. That's not going to pop. This is real revenue, and the multiples aren't out of whack. I think overall that there's a lot of concern because S&P has gone up so high, and that's been dominated by a handful of AI companies. And so most of the companies in the S&P index are not doing that well. But you can't tell that from the average. So we're going to see some interesting times, and now we're currently at war again, and oil prices and straits are being blocked, and so all kinds of stuff are turbulence ahead. But this AI thing is real, and I think it's really we've never seen this pace of innovation before. The new models are coming out faster and faster. The adoption is really high. And this OpenClaw thing, I think it was the CEO of NVIDIA, Jensen. Yeah, he said OpenClaw is the most downloaded product in human history, and people are using it and experimenting with it. As the famous blog wrote, something is happening here.
Oh, I don't disagree with that, but I spoke. You take a look online. I spoke with Ron Insana, who's been a financial journalist for a very long time, and he said he agrees there's going to be some type of correction in the next 6, 12, 18 months where the funny money is going to have to be squeezed out of the market, and the incorrect valuations are probably going to go away.
But I would say
AI will stay.
But I would say that's already happening, and we saw NVIDIA pull back their investment in OpenAI. It's already kind of happening to a degree. I think a couple of these companies got ahead of their skis, but I don't think we're going to see a big correction. I think there's always going to be a 20% correction any given day of the week.
Yeah, you're going to get a third David. You're going to get the robotic AI David here next year.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that robotic note, maybe I'm not virtually here, but anyways, thanks, gentlemen, for coming by. I'm looking forward to hearing more about the sessions. I'm looking forward to the great writing that we get to host on our site. So thanks to both of you.
As well as on our TalkingPointz.com.
That's right. I was just going to ask where people can find Talking Points with a Z.
Yep, absolutely. TalkingPointz.com with a Z, and we occasionally get some stuff over on TR on your site, and we're always posting videos and whatever. So
there's a Substack that you can subscribe to.
Yeah, we have a free Substack. That's right.
Yep, excellent. Don't miss it, guys. If you want to keep up on the latest on enterprise AI and other hot topics, go to Talking Pointz. David and Dave, thank you very much indeed for joining me today.
Pleasure.